We're going to start very soon. Just wanted to check, Doctor, can you speak?
Yes, and I feel like I'm in the Liquid Driver Discord right now. I see so many familiar faces.
yeah. It is. Yeah, I thought the same thing too. Yes, definitely. But we have some really spirit folks who always join us with Fireside as well. So yeah, I'm glad to see them
I
as
see
well.
it as well.
Richie, just checking if you started recording. Can you write it on the Fireside chat just to be sure if everything is all right? Okay, perfect. I'm just waiting for Degen as well to join us. And then we should begin very shortly. Okay, the man is here. Hey, Nick.
Everyone was wondering if we were going to even turn up today after last night's escapades.
Oh, no.
And you didn't invite me.
Oh, Doc, man, I'm sorry. It was kind of impromptu. We had a big day getting all of our prep list done for the V2 launch, and we decided we'd celebrate with a couple of beers at the end of the night. And one thing led to another, and we thought for those who did us, we jumped into chat last night for a couple of drunken escapades with the community. I think we did some shotguns on camera. Yeah, wow, what an embarrassment. Good times though.
I will not even mention the naked nerds. Yes, of course I will not even mention them.
Yeah. We'll keep that for the private chat, eh? We might open our own OnlyFans soon. For some reason I can't. This sucks. I've got Sid sitting next to me as well. Say hello, Sid.
Hey guys, how you doing?
For those that don't know, Sid's our CTO. He handles all of the complicated stuff. I just sit and channel and laugh. But I was going to share my video, but if we've got more than 25 users, Discord won't let me, so that sucks. We're all decked out in our SpiritSwap gear. We thought we'd get all festive for the chat today. But I digress. Yeah, look, Jado, would you like to intro us?
Yes, of course. Welcome, guys, to this AMA with Liquid Driver's captain, Dr.Liquid, on SpiritSwap server, on Fireside chat. Well, I am both excited and honored, to be honest, since I am a part of these both great teams and projects. I'm really happy to be hosting Dr.Liquid with us today. And just before giving the floor to Nick, I would like to say that it is really very, I know you have been waiting for a very long time, but this is really exciting stuff for all of us. So for V2, you know that as mods, we have been testing it for a time now, and we cannot really wait to share it with all our users. And on the other side, on Liquid Driver, there are very good innovations and new strategies that is directly engaged about how V2 is structured. And they will all come up they will all be, come up to be these great innovations from the Liquid Driver team that will drive further liquidity on Phantom and on SpiritSwap as well. So really exciting times are waiting for all of us. We have been waiting for this for a long time as well, as you do, we know. So without further ado, thank you very much, Dr.Liquid, for joining us today on the SpiritSwap server. And I would like to leave the floor to Nick to start with the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, JJ. I appreciate that, man. And very warm welcome to our long dear friend, Dr. Liquid. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Thank you for inviting me, man. It's a pleasure and long overdue, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, my man.
Are really close, and the synergies between our protocols are also definitely there. I think it was about time that we run an AMA through your Discord. I was waiting for an invitation, man.
Well,
Just kidding.
You're going to be having more of an integral role on our Discord moving forward, obviously being part of our multi-sig. Once V2's launched and we can make our treasury public and start managing all of that intricate fun, then obviously, I kind of see you fitting in as a good custodian of the SpiritSwap DAO moving forward. However, I digress. The conversation today is obviously orientated around our V2 and obviously your V3 shadow farms, leveraging some of our V2 upgrades. And so I see this as, obviously a good segue into the first sort of discussion point here. And I guess I'll just draw people's attention to your documents, which are public at the moment for the V3 shadow farms. And, it's said in the documents here that, Liquid Driver are collaborating with SpiritSwap to achieve the following objectives. So the first and obvious one being, to increase the TVL on SpiritSwap while giving more utility to LQDR holders. The long-term goal being to reduce the inflation required to incentivize new liquidity pools. Building a relationship and continuous value and benefits to both of our users. And obviously, boost yields, with the governance power acquired through LinSpirit, which essentially locks Spirit into InSpirit and giving Liquid Driver governance power. So could we start with a little refresher of, what Liquid Driver did so far in the space and how your symbiotic relationship with SpiritSwap has evolved over time?
Yeah, definitely. And thanks for the intro regarding shadow farms. So basically, Liquid Driver is a liquidity as a service layer that was designed to support DEXs and soon other types of protocols to help them bootstrap liquidity for core pairs, basically. And I remember it was like less than a year ago when at the beginning we launched, there was only SpiritSwap, SpookySwap, and then right after we launched. Obviously, things went wrong. We were just a liquidity mining DApp with driving no real value, as was all the others liquidity mining DApp in the space. And so we got back to the drawing board and said, okay, now that we launch and we kind of have like the first mover advantage, let's do something that will really support the DEXs in the ecosystem to drive TVL because, right, liquidity is the backbone where then like people can only enjoy your DEXs if you have enough liquidity to have low slippages and to basically offer the best pricing for users. And I remember at the time, André Conré was sharing the VCRV contracts and was basically saying, yeah, for all the inflationary model, you should take a look at this. And as soon as I looked at it, we decided to implement it in our model. At the time, we were focused on, okay, how can we get back Liquid Driver on track? And that went through generating profit for our user base. And so when we reached out to SpiritSwap, they were actually the first that were also implementing it at the same time. We just didn't know. And our focus were on two different paths. We were profit maxi. I wanted to counter inflation by making people lock their token for high APRs, while they were looking at the full model, with the gauges. You lock your token from like 2 weeks to 4 years, and you can boost your yields. And on top of that, you get the fee distribution, right? So that's how the relationship started. I told them, look, guys, we can be on top of you and start incentivizing liquidity. But for doing that, we're going to farm in your farms and we're going to redistribute the revenue to XLQDR holders. And at the time, there was such an imbalance between the TVL we got and the XLQDR that were locked that the APR went crazy and the flywheel got started. And then we realized basically they have the same model as us, and we're basically routing around like 20-30% of the daily Spirit emissions through Liquid Driver. But well, we could basically do a wrapped product and offer the yields as this wrapped product, which is now called LinSpirit. And this way, we can basically split the fee distribution that should go back to LinSpirit holders and the governance power that could go back to XLQDR holders. And so now, that's how Liquid Driver came to be, where at first glance, we're a liquidity as a service layer, but we're using our model to acquire key governance token where we can monetize emissions. And that's how we're going to drive revenue for XLQDR holders in the long term.
Absolutely, man. And I feel like, we've seen and witnessed Liquid Driver grow and adapt and evolve throughout the landscape of DeFi. And I think that's, testament to you and your team's ability to, be agile in an ever-changing marketplace. We're constantly, you're having sort of working with us because that's how your model works and working with other protocols. And I know that we throw you enough curveballs as it is, but I can't imagine how it would be, with 3, 4, 5 other protocols that you're obviously working in with as well. Which kind of brings me to the next point of not contention but subject matter. Now that V2 is around the corner, could you tell us a bit more about the impact it will have on Liquid Driver's directions, and how you intend to leverage V2 in any way to improve utility for both of our user base?
Yeah, definitely. We've been really excited for the upcoming release and been waiting for it for a long time, because for us it changes a lot of things. So as our protocol matures, we're looking to launch models that are going to generate revenue with no emissions. And shadow farms are the first step toward that goal. And by the way, I invite you to read up on the article that we just released. It explains a lot about the synergies that we're going to create. The thing is, up until now, we had to, as I said before, we're profit maxi. So we had to allocate our voting power based on where it would maximize our profits, which depends on which pool can provide the most revenue for us. So basically where we have the highest TVL. And now that Spirit V2 is about to be released, we're going to completely switch the model to be a convex layer, but with an extra touch on top of it, which matters a lot. So I guess most of you know the relationship between curve and convex. We're like the extra layer where with our in-spirit supply, we can boost the APRs for everybody. And in return, we take a fee that is higher than, for example, an auto-compounding fee or all those services on top, because we hold actually a lot of in-spirit and that costs money. The thing is, on top of that, we said, why couldn't we, the same way we did it with our V2, why couldn't we redirect all the yields back to in-spirit, create a more liquid market with constant buying pressure that would allow us to acquire more in-spirit? And on top of that, the users that provide the LPs will benefit from both the highest APRs available on SpiritSwap through Liquid Driver, and 2, they will also benefit from boosted APR from the in-spirit fee distribution. Because how it works right now is we have our full in-spirit supply, and if you stake it in our in-spirit staking pool, you get the distribution, the total distribution from the in-spirit fees that we receive. But the thing is, we also have to maintain deep liquidity so people can have exit liquidity. And so at the moment, we have 50% that is used to provide liquidity and 50% that is used in our single staking in-spirit pool. So that means that you earn the highest APRs and it gets compounded into our staking pool that is offering a 2x boost on the in-spirit fee distribution, which in my opinion, if you're a Spirit Maxi, you're looking to build a long position on it, you will literally never find best yields somewhere else. So on your side, it's good because we're locking the supply away, and on the user side, we're providing literally every maximization layer that we could provide to your user base. And that's what those boosted shadow farms are all about. And I'm really excited about it because for me, the model of the VCRV to counter inflation works if you can provide high yields on the other side, because locking is also, a big bet. You're like locking your assets for 4 years. And let's be honest, when you lock for 4 years, you're not thinking about getting it back. So if you stake through Liquid Driver, you will benefit on both layers from the maximum APRs, and it will also get the flywheel on the Spirit side going. So in terms of synergies, it's perfect between both protocols. We benefit through the fees, you benefit through the locking. And also, I think what has been missing with SpiritSwap at the moment is that basically nobody has access to the boosted APRs because they don't have enough in Spirit. Well, we're going to come with a solution and we're going to fix that.
Absolutely, man. As you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen, Liquid Driver are truly changing the game. Staying ahead of the curve, so to speak, pun intended. And just to sort of there on some reference to that document you were just speaking about, to all of our users, if you haven't read this yet, the Liquid Driver guys only posted it. I believe it was only like an hour or so ago, maybe. But I've just posted in the Fireside chat a link to that Medium article. It's really, really good. Very well written. I don't know who wrote it, but kudos to them. But again, as part of an educational front, and something I'm a big fan of is there's really, really good infographics in there which help our visual learners sort of really break down the intricacies of how shadow farms work. And I think it was Phantom King Hoddle who actually made mention of this yesterday or last night. For the first time on Phantom, we actually have a platform that provides us with a convex layer for SpiritSwap. Starting on the release of shadow farms, all users can expect to get the best returns on their SpiritSwap LVs via Liquid Driver. So it's an incredibly exciting event. Our two protocols coming together in this nature. And yeah, absolutely kudos to you for staying ahead of the curve, seeing opportunity where it is, and looking after both of our users. We'll sort of lead on to the next question here, because I do realize for everyone who wasn't aware, Dr.Liquid is an incredibly busy individual and he's got a lot of stuff happening at the moment. So we'll push on with the conversation here. Liquid Driver, you currently own, I think it was around about 36% plus of the supply. The wrapper, it's shown great resilience during those past, few months of really, really sort of volatile periods where, other wrapped in Spirit models have really, really struggled to retain or even regain peg. Could you tell us a little bit, more about how you actually manage the high growth while keeping a tight peg? Because I feel like this is, integral part of the Lin Spirit model.
Yeah, no, definitely. For us, it's super important to keep the peg. We've seen like 2 free events when obviously during the bear market, during the solidly event, it depegged. But so there are a couple of different key points that are important to maintain the peg. And the first one is to follow the demand naturally. The problem that we see with a lot of wrappers is that the minter is open until the moment it depegs heavily. But when you launch farms with Lin Spirit, for example, on new dexes, and that was the big solidly lesson, and you end up with 1,000 or 10,000% APR because that's the APR that was provided at the time. And it's not sustainable. And the problem is that people are going to mint and they're going to mint and they're going to mint to chase that APR, right? But the thing is, what happens once that's done? Well, everyone dumps. And keeping the peg over time is all about building trust. If you depeg, are people going to take the risk to buy it back because they know it's accessing Spirit at a discounted price? Or do they think that you're basically dead and everyone is using the last bit of exit liquidity? Well, that's basically what happened for a lot of wrappers. On our side, the luck that we had is that we were the first one to launch, and we had a period of 2-3 months where the growth was natural. Liquid Driver was growing, SpiritSwap was growing, and people wanted to have access to this in-Spirit fee distribution. Everything went well. When other competitors came and solidly came, the big problem was those temporary APRs, and everybody depegged. The thing is, by that time, we were already working on building a kind of like arbitrage fund. So you say to your user base, basically, okay, so you own Lin Spirit. If Lin Spirit depegs and nobody repegs it, I'm going to use the emergency fund and I'm going to buy it back and put it back to peg. But what's going to happen in real life is that people are going to front run you because they know, for example, they can get Spirit at a 10% discount. So there was a mix of that. And the second part is creating a liquid market, but also a market where people trade in and out. And that's what happens when we depeg the first time with the solidly issue, is that first we have around 30% of the daily Spirit emissions that are going back to Liquid Driver through the revenue sharing vault. And instead of minting new Lin Spirit, we would buy back the Lin Spirit. And given how close our communities are, our community see the real value in Spirit, and most of them are still very, very bullish on Spirit, especially with V2. So we were converting, we were buying back those Lin Spirit, distributing to holders, and most of them were coordinating to stake it in the Lin Spirit pool and say, okay, it's going to repeg, I'm just going to wait a bit. So the first thing was the insurance funds. Now we're starting to be at a size where things get a bit trickier. So short term, our first main goal is to stop incentivizing Lean Spirit with our own emissions. So for that, we have, as you know, the FBIT holding that are already being used to incentivize around like 33% of our liquidity. And I'm also intending to leverage Spirit V2 to bootstrap more liquidity on Spirit as well, and slowly move it to Spirit as, like, you know, it should be on Spirit. It's a Spirit wrapper. So I'm eager to do that. I'm still going to push you guys to open Lean Spirit as a gauge, because right now it's not going to launch as a gauge, so I cannot control emissions for it, which I totally understand. But I hope you're going to reconsider and open it with a cap based on the liquidity that you have. And the third step for us, once we stop incentivizing it with our own token, is going to be to acquire some liquidity ourselves, so that we, as a protocol, can provide the exit liquidity for users. On top of that, we will have external incentives, but it won't rely on our own emission, which is on par with what I just said before, where we're looking to have a hybrid business model where, okay, you have inflation, but at least you're using your inflation to generate high revenue for your user base. And on top of that, you're using this inflation to acquire assets that are going to allow you to launch other revenue streams that don't require emissions. So I'm going out of topic a bit, but anyways, it's about having our own liquidity, having an arbitrage fund in case of an emergency, and also acquiring POL over time. And also, more importantly, following the demand naturally. Don't boost the demand with temporary high APRs. That's what we've been doing so far, and it works pretty well.
Absolutely. And I feel like, you know, a perfect summary of what you've just mentioned there is, you know, I guess testament to Liquid Driver's success and ability to maintain PEG so well, you know, is the fact that you guys have a tremendous amount of foresight. You know, you're always looking ahead. You're always a few extra steps ahead. And that's kind of what's enabled you to remain agile and, you know, keep control of the important mechanical parts of your protocol, you know, such as PEG maintenance. And so I do want to just, this is a little bit of a curveball for you here, Doc, but in your V3 docs, you know, I was sort of reading through them a little bit earlier last night, and, you know, you have mentioned about your partnership incentive program. You know, would you like to share more about that and how that benefits your existing protocol partners along with XLQDR holders? Because as I was sort of that, I'm seeing that as a good opportunity to sort of mention how Liquid Driver benefits protocols like SpiritSwap, for example. So through having this partnership incentive program, you know, you guys are in fact able to even bring, you know, more liquidity to SpiritSwap. Obviously, having a significant amount of control over governance will mean that you will have the ability to make proposals to the DAO to open up new gauges, and in doing so, you know, and as part of this partnership incentive program, you know, you guys are in fact able to open gauges and bring a lot more liquidity to SpiritSwap as well. Do you want to mention that at all to the users? Because I feel like that's a really
Yeah, definitely. We had like maybe 4 or 5 protocols already who asked us basically to have them getting whitelisted to open a gauge, and then also to redirect emissions. So we've been doing some custom bribe deals with protocols such as Frax. Then we did with Deus. We helped out also Grove DeFi, which is an amazing protocol as well. I invite you to check it out. They're big partners of us. And if I may add something, the liquidity partner that you saw on the docs, honestly, it's a failure, and it never really worked out, because going back to what I said at the beginning, the big problem with the current model of Liquid Driver is that we're profit maxi, and being profit maxi with our current model means that we cannot partner with everybody. We need to allocate emissions where we make the most profit. So it's kind of hard to, for example, help a new protocol bootstrap its liquidity, because we need to carefully choose who we partner with, who makes revenue, how can we drive revenue to ourselves, and if we can't, we cannot help the protocol in question. So that goes to our V3 and what we've been working on for the past 3 months. We have our article coming up next week. I'm super eager to tell you more about it. I will just maybe drop a couple of pieces regarding the model. The biggest issue we had right now is that we had to carefully choose the protocols we're working with. which pool we would incentivize based on the revenue it would make. And for example, in the example of SpiritSwap, it's a lot of wasted resources. Why? We could have two different models that bring revenues without emissions. We could have the shadow farms that are upcoming, and we could have the bribes. The problem is that at the moment, our in-spirit is used to boost the pools where we have the most TVL and where we can get the most revenue. And that doesn't go in line with the vision that we have to basically be able to support any protocols that wishes to bootstrap its liquidity. So what we're building right now is a kind of like a free market, that a liquidity layer on top of DEXs and money markets that is going to be cross-chain, and that will help protocol fix the how Synthetics called it. It's the cold start liquidity issue. That's what we aim to solve. And whether it is for DEXs or for a single protocol, is how can you access those incentives and have a model that's not going to dilute your own token holders. So that's what we're building right now. And the next time we're going to talk, I'll be able to tell you more about this and about this free market. But it's going to be really interesting, even in our relationship between SpiritSwap and Liquid Driver. You know what I'm talking about, because we discussed it yesterday. But whether it is to drive TVL in a more capital efficient way, or SpiritSwap looking to go cross-chain, it's going to help you tremendously. And we already have a couple of proposals that are being written by the team that we will push through your forum in the coming weeks. And it's going to be really, really interesting. So yeah, overall, the current model, it's very hard to scale cross-chain. It's very hard to scale with multiple partners. And we're looking to fix that and to support DEXs even more. That's what we're going to do.
Fantastic. I appreciate that little bit of alpha for everybody there, those who can read between the lines. And you did, as you just sort of mentioned, we've seen a new proposal for the creation of a cross-chain fund. Do you want to go into any more details on that at this point in time, or should we hold off?
Yeah, we can. We can definitely talk about it. The thing is, what we're doing right now with the cross-chain fund is a temporary thing. So we know we're going to need some emissions to bootstrap, whether it is the community or the liquidity when we're going to port onto another chain. And so we're anticipating that and getting basically firepower so that when we launch, we can have like nice APRs, nice yields, and attract a community on other chains. However, how I see Liquid Driver in the next months, it will truly be cross-chain. We won't, us as a team, decide, for example, and I'm just going to name drop chains, but it literally has nothing to do with our plan regarding which chains to prioritize. But let's say I'm going to say, okay, on Optimism, we're going to put 30% of our emissions. On Polygon, we're going to put 15. We don't want that, because it's the same issue as what I mentioned before. It's going to be very hard to scale. The teams still have to make decision, and you cannot create a free market until you have competitors that are willing to basically compete between each other to push the price up. Because if you have only one competitor, and for example, he says, I'm willing to put 1 cent in bribe per dollar of emission, then because he's the only briber, he's gonna receive all the emissions. So what we're looking to do is really to use LQDR as the central piece. We'll hold all the governance power over all the governance token that we have, and that will control somehow our emissions. And those emissions will be flexible, and you will be able to redirect them to any chain you'd like without any limitation. So the cross-chain fund is just to bootstrap initial demand and create a community, because we're getting ready to launch cross-chain, I would say, in the next 6 weeks. And then it's going to take us, I would say, another like 6 weeks up to 2 months to truly be cross-chain and with the vision that I just described. And I already said way too much.
Yeah, man.
I basically described the model more or less.
JJ's probably.
Fascinated, to be honest. I wasn't expecting this much. I mean, if we were talking here and if Doctor was listening, he would shut us down. That was for sure.
Yeah, you know me. When I start, I cannot stop. I hate like to tell things in half.
Okay, great leaker, Doctor.
We managed to draw blood out of a stone here. I feel like that's the only time that'll ever happen, and I could feel the anxiety of JJ sort of reaching through my keyboard here, because whenever I start leaking, he's he's my muzzler, my dog handler. So yeah, look, really appreciate that insight. That's pretty huge, man. I mean, going cross chain is difficult enough as it is. It has its sort of nuances and intricacies associated with it. It's I would liken it to they say the most stressful time in your life is either when someone dies in your family or you move house, and this is literally the crypto protocol equivalent of moving house. But not only just moving house into a single house, but multiple houses. So hats off to you, sir, and we wish you all the best with that endeavor. Obviously, that can mean huge things for SpiritSwap holders as well. I won't sort of go into too much detail about that, but those who have a slice of grey matter between the old noggin there will probably be able to read between the lines as to where that could potentially take us as well in our partnership with Liquid Driver. Moving on, I kind of want to touch on a comment that was actually made in our Discord server last night. And Doc, you very in perfect manner. And I mean, you and I have had discussions about this over months and months and months. And I've always sort of supported Liquid Driver in their retention of such a large holdership in our governance and across our governance. And I think I kind of just want to address this just for anybody who maybe didn't see that discussion last night in the Discord server and is potentially thinking it themselves. So I'll just paraphrase the question here, and Doc, maybe if you just want to comment on it, and then I'll give my thoughts as well. But the question is, I'd like to know if either of you feel that there will be any adverse reactions to Liquid Driver having such a big stake in Spirit. Would this deter protocols coming on board in any way due to there being almost 2 layers of in-house politics to get through in order to get the emissions you want? If it is a foreseeable problem, how do you think you will manage it? I'll let you go first, Doc.
All right. Yeah. So it's kind of the same relationship as Curve and Convex. Obviously, maybe in the future, we're going to have some divergences of opinion regarding specific things, but you got to understand that we cannot really make a decision that thinks about Liquid Driver first and SpiritSwap second if it hinders your business model, your profitability, or everything else that's supposed to go back to holders, because we're the holders of InSpirit, and it's going to be the same. And it's the relationship between Liquid Driver and SpiritSwap as we keep acquiring InSpirit. We're going to be basically the only governance layer. And that's what I was saying this morning, is that he was saying there will be 2 layers, but no, there will really be 1 layers, in the sense that if we have 51%, we could pass literally anything we want. But that's still not really the case. First, I am not the one who's going to answer yes to a proposal or no. LQDR holders will, because that's how it works. You have the revenue distribution that goes to InSpirit. You have the governance power that goes back to LQDR holders. And 99% of the time, our interests are aligned. Let's make an example. Right now, you just launched a proposal. You wanna start your V2 with 10% of the emissions. Obviously, at the beginning, I learned it and I was like, oh man, can't you start with a bit more, maybe do 30% first week, 70% second week, 100% third week. They were like, no, we were advised by our security advisors that we should do this. So, there is this constant communications where for us, Liquid Driver, we need SpiritSwap to do well, and we need them to be comfortable with the move they're doing. So if it comes to specific proposal like increasing InSpirit fee distribution or anything else that touches the business model, we're looking at it from a perspective where we're not only thinking about Liquid Driver, but we're thinking about the success of SpiritSwap. Because if SpiritSwap is not successful, then we hold a token that is not successful as well. So most of the time, our interests are aligned. And I'm pretty sure that through regular conversation, you have a forum for it. I really like your DAO process, even if it's the beginning. We'll always have serious discussions, sit down, think about all the pros and cons, discuss with the community, with our community, and we'll find the best solution. This is how a DAO will work. And having Liquid Driver on top doesn't change anything, because once again, our interests are aligned. We will always listen to the SpiritSwap communities, and of course, XLQDR holders will also be in the discussion. But overall, I think we'll encounter no issues as long as the conversation is open and everyone is thinking of the pros and cons and having serious discussions about it. And that's what's happening between Curve and Convex. Sorry, I take this example a lot because it's kind of the same dynamic up until this point. And that's what we aim to do. So for me, for example, when you have important decision to make, such as the one that you just did by running this proposal, I have a conversation with you. If you feel like security wise it's the best thing to do, then we're gonna do this. It's not an issue once again. But
Yeah,
let me say it again. There will be one layer of governance, and it will be Liquid Driver.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess just to further, echo what you've just said there, and maybe give the community a little bit of insight into the flow of communication that we have. I mean, we're speaking with you. I mean, at least on a every second day basis. You know what I mean? The flow and channel of communication that we have with Liquid Driver, I guess is synonymous with or embodies, the synonymous relationship that we have. You're always very easy to speak with. You're very understanding. As soon as we have a flow of discussion happening, it's always a very objective discussion and also a very there's always positive outcomes. We're always, it's almost like putting two big brains together into one. I'm not saying myself here, I'm saying the rest of the team as well, obviously. But at the end of the day, through having Liquid Driver having such a large stake in Spirit and looking at Liquid Driver's processes, looking at how you guys educate your community as well. Because, when there is civil governance involved, it's very important that communities remain educated. And I feel like our processes are very much aligned. We have these fireside chats, you guys have your deck talks, just the whole way in which we operate is very symbiotic and complementary of one another. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Liquid Driver had the first mover advantage. They had the foresight and the brains and the agile nature to be able to sort of thrive and survive. And I feel like, as pointed out, for Liquid Driver to do well, SpiritSwap has to do well. So as long as that flow of communication remains the way that it has, I also do not see there being any issues. Further to that,
sorry, man.
No,
go ahead. I'm really talkative today. Go ahead.
Further to that, I mean, I see Liquid Driver as, a fantastic custodian of the SpiritSwap DAO. At the end of the day, and we as a team, our goal, this is kind of like a little bit of a governance trial for us, and I think that's the case with all DeFi protocols. And I did a Fireside presentation on governance a couple of weeks back where I sort of spoke about this in detail. There is no secret source at the moment. Everyone is trying to discover the secret source, and so through having Liquid Driver's involvement in governance, again, it's just another another tool in the belt, of us being able to figure out how we can go about governance, how we can make it more effective and efficient. And as a team, we really don't want to be making these decisions. We want to be guiding the community towards making the right decision. That's our role. We don't really want to be seen as having any centralized sway or control over the protocol, because that's not our job. Our job is to build and to execute the will of DAO decisions. And through having Liquid Driver involved in that, who have already, I feel, very much demonstrated their abilities to, again, thrive and survive in all kinds of market conditions. It's really, if anything, it's a complementary, again, it's that tool to have in our belt. So, I'm sort of waffling now, but we haven't encountered any big issues in the past. If we ever have had any disagreements, they're promptly resolved, and it's always in a friendly nature. Sorry, Doc, you were about to say something.
No, you're completely on point, and it's just I wanted to add that, and it's the same for all team members in Liquid Driver for us, and it's the same as any traditional business. Our success is also your success. If we want to be a liquidity layer on top of DEXs, we got to be aware of our partners' needs. So whether it is like SpiritSwap, Beethoven, SpookySwap, and like, I'm really happy to have like 3 top dexes on Phantom with each their own like specificities. Obviously, we have a really specific relationship with you. But like overall, Liquid Driver always want to operate with the partners that we're working with, see your needs and how we can enhance your business model. How can we make your protocol looks better? Because that's the only way Liquid Driver is going to be successful. And as you said, we're having constant conversation. We're having agreements, disagreements. But the point is that to always have these open discussions, we both know DAOs can be a pain in the ass. It's novel. It's also really hard to operate with like such a large community and the team members and the third party contractors. So I'm really impressed about like how you kind of like deep dived into it and transformed into like a true DAO. So one thing you can be sure of is that conversation will be always open and that we'll always listen to the Spirit community regarding how they see SpiritSwap evolving and how does that fit with what Liquid Driver wants to do. And this is the mindset that me and the rest of the team, because I'm not alone, they're providing like tremendous work in the background. I'm here talking, but they're also the one maintaining this relationship on a day-to-day basis. Our motto is just like we work hand on hands, and your success is my success. We cannot be a good liquidity as a service layer if we're not providing value to you. We're just providing value to our holders if that's not the case, you know? So yeah.
Absolutely.
From a user point of view, I just would like to add something to this to these comments. You know that it is really hard to gain and maintain the trust in a trustless environment where we're working with smart contracts, but also at the same time with communities, with real people. And especially with what happened on Phantom lately, well, it seems real such a long time, but people are more keen to lose trust than gain it. So whatever you are right now providing to all communities of Phantom right now is, to be honest, a very good sign, a very positive sign. But it is always hard. The people first think that how one will eat the other one instead of how two can grow together. So, so thank you for giving this chance as well. As being a part of both teams, I know how you work so hard to achieve this. So, but from a user point of view, this is really hard to maintain as well. So, sorry, please continue. Just wanted to give my 2 cents.
No, I appreciate that chime in, and again, you know, I feel like you've hit the nail on the head there.
Exactly, so, completely agree. JJ is actually one of those team members that we both share. By the way, JJ is working for both SpiritSwap and us, and I can tell you, like this guy is simply amazing. Your touch with the community is simply amazing, and the way you manage the other mods and everything, like. Liquid Driver, in my opinion, and I'm sorry for other communities, is the best community on Phantom. Sorry for the Spirit community. And that is a big part of it is due to JJ. He made big changes on our Discord, and I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah, JJ, we very much appreciate your input. And
don't spoil me, don't spoil me, don't spoil me. But
okay, we're done. We're done with the spoiling. We're done with the spoiling.
Thank you.
So, Doc, we said we're trying to keep this to 30 minutes because I know you actually have a dinner to get on with. But I'll just conclude with, you know, I guess one final question for you. So, you know, we obviously provided you with a staging server link. You know, you've had the opportunity our Spirit V2. Do you have any feedback that you could give our community at this stage? You know, what's your thoughts? And we'll close on that.
Oh man, you got to start over everything. It just sucks. No, really, like I know everyone, like, because I've seen for the past months, like, where SpiritSwap missed a step, and everyone was like, okay, it's the UI. It's like it's not responsive enough. It's slow. It's blah blah. For me, SpiritSwap had amazing tokenomics, and indeed the UI could be a bit more responsive. But V2 is honestly something else, like completely different than V2. Whether we're talking about fast loading, the responsiveness of the website, improving tokenomics, and to me, that's the most important point. I've reviewed the entire platform. I reviewed the tokenomics review, and honestly, I don't know. Even if I wanted to make a suggestions to you right now in terms of like tokenomics, which is kind of my like specialty. I couldn't say anything else. Like every point that I touched with you like a while back, you did it and even more. So on my side, I'm really excited to see it released. And once again, like having SpiritSwap on top of the scene for us is really important. And I'm pretty sure that with what you're about to release, you're gonna get there, and we'll be there to support.
Thank you, my man. It's going to be a journey we both walk together. Let's focus on getting V2 out. Let's focus on getting shadow farms all up and established. Let's focus on continuing the symbiotic relationship and, making both of our protocols the best damn protocols that there is on Phantom and potentially other channels. So, look, Doc, I'll finish it here because we are around about 14 minutes over the time that you and I had scheduled. I'll let you get on with your dinner, but I just really want to thank you so much for your time to come in today. Again, I realize you were super pressed. We sort of managed to squeeze this in, and I can't, express how appreciative I am for you making the time for us in our community today. And look, if anyone has any, Doc, do you have any other closing statements you want to make before we let you get on with your day?
No, thank you for having me. This was truly a blast. We've been waiting for this for quite some time, especially how close our communities are. And also I have a message for the SpiritSwap community. On Spirit V2 launches, there is one place to stake your LP tokens, and you know where it is.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's it. That will be my closing words.
I want to, actually, impart one thing as well. And just further mentioning that, how the shadow farms are now orientated is completely unique to any other sort of, well, we know you're a liquidity provider, but you are also in a sense a form of yield aggregator. And this embodies the nature that you guys support SpiritSwap and the DAO so much, in the sense that you're the only one who's not actually dumping the Spirit token. I was going through our price feed and our chart earlier today, and you can see the contracts. You can see the aggregator contracts. From Reaper, from Grim, from Beefy, and they'll serve their purpose, and that's great and all. But if you are a Spirit Maxi, support Liquid Driver, because at the end of the day, that's where you're going to really churn over maximum profit from your Spirit LPs, but also not wreck the SpiritSwap ecosystem via dumping off the token passively. So guys, again, further embodying what Dr. Liquid has said here, Liquid Driver is the spot for your Spirit LPs.
Thanks, man. Appreciate your kind words.
You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Liquid. But before letting Dr. Liquid leave, Nick, first of all, do we have anything for all these people gathering around here? Anything from V2, or are we just gonna make them hang out like this?
No. I was going to touch on this because Doc has a dinner to go to. I just kind of wanted to finish that segment up, or this segment of the Fireside. Now, so Doc, feel free if you want to, but again, I realize you're probably around about 15 minutes away from dinner reservations. So again, feel free to leave the server as well if you want to. Again, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me here, man. I'm just gonna prepare myself, and in the meantime, you can go ahead with the presentation, and when I'll have to leave, I'll leave.
Perfect.
All right.
Great.
Thanks a lot once again.
Thank you so much, Doc. Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. Awesome. Myself as well. Always a pleasure, mate. Right. So for the community, further iterating on the snapshot proposal we made yesterday, that has pretty much already met quorum. There is always a chance that vote could change, but right now it is looking like we're going ahead with the 10% option. After discussing with Doc yesterday, and again, this just sort of furthers the kind of symbiotic relationship we have. Obviously for Doc, it's advantageous for us to launch full emissions, because that means that shadow farms can sort of start achieving their full effect. That said, we initially wanted to actually launch with 5% emissions for up to a month to really just give us a chance to stress test this. Obviously, if anyone's read the proposal, you guys will understand the intricacies of that. Main reason being security. With us launching with limited emissions, we're only going to attract limited liquidity. We don't want lots of liquidity sitting in V2 contracts, because although we've had a double audit, And although we've had multiple peer reviews done, and although we plan to have further support from the foundation, I actually wanted to include this in the proposal yesterday, but I hadn't heard back from Michael yet, so I wasn't sure if I could. But there is around about September, there's going to be something called that the foundation is going to be offering as a support arm in terms of security, called the Contract Library. So it's a well-known smart contract explorer, used by hundreds of security researchers on Ethereum. It's a full public deployment for Phantom that's scheduled to take place around about September. And what it does is it tests deployments that are already sort of operational. So it's kind of like a scanner that scans all smart contracts and looks for any kind of vulnerabilities. So the foundation will further be supporting us with this. That said, that's not fully operational yet. And even though we have had the double audit, we are taking a security first approach. All of our audit companies have recommended this. We've consulted with Byte Masons, Beavis, we respect him tremendously. He's also recommended that, we go for a limited emissions to start with. That said, Dr.Liquid and I had a chat the other day, and, we sort of decided that, let's meet in the middle here to sort of, not put so much pain on Liquid, rather considering how much they've pushed to get the shadow farms out. So we decided to reduce the public beta time to a minimum of 2 weeks. So if anything arises, we'll reserve the right to, obviously fix anything that's required or review the case at that time. Because again, security is our priority. But in order to meet in the middle, we reduced this time to 2 weeks, minimum 2 weeks, and we've actually bumped up the allocation. The original allocation was 5% of emissions to 10% of emissions. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, everyone's been, awaiting the grand reveal of when we're going to launch. So we're actually ready to go. We're held up by there's one thing that's sort of holding us up at the moment, and that's for Matcha to integrate the Solidly router. We're using basically a master router with Unidex. So there's multiple third parties that have, been integrally involved in the development of V2, which is synonymous with our personal approach that we'd like to take of collaborating with as many protocols as possible in order to deliver the best possible product. Two heads are better than one, so to speak. So at this point, we're really just held up by Matcha integrating the Solidly router for the OX API router aggregation that Unidex uses. As soon as that's done, we're ready to launch. So a soft date that we have planned, we're hoping for early next week. That's what I'll say at this stage. But next week is so long as this March integration gets sorted, we're good to go. So we'll be starting our marketing over the coming days. And obviously, as that marketing gets ramped up and more sort of intricacies around V2 get exposed in that marketing layer, you guys will obviously know that the date is close. I'm kind of the mindset that we might just do a surprise launch, and those who obviously get first opportunity to explore V2. So I'll keep you guys posted. But there you go for now.
Good one, Nick. Everybody, I'm sure. If you haven't heard it well, you have to listen to the recording, guys.
Yeah. It'll probably be out before the recording, but yeah, there you go, guys. So, everyone, I just want to thank everybody for their patience. V2's been a long drawn process. We've encountered multiple obstacles along the way. We've met many fantastic people. Not only contract developers that are now long-term friends of ours who have helped us with the development of V2, not only from a smart contract perspective but also from a UI and UX perspective. Want to thank the foundation for their support. Want to thank everybody who peer reviewed our contracts and gave us feedback. We just want this to be a super impressive product, and I think that what we're going to be delivering to the market is going to be a game changer. For Phantom. So, we'll look forward to launching this. Stay posted. We'll keep you guys updated as soon as possible. Maybe I might have some updates, from Unidex and Matcha by the time that DGen's Digest is due out. So if there is, I'll make sure to include that in there. We'll sign off for now, and we'll look forward to catching up with you all on the next Fireside, where likely we'll be going through the Medium article that I'll be posting about V2 and sort of talking about the individual intricacies that V2 actually involves. So that way, hopefully by then you guys would have had a couple of days to test out V2. If you have any questions for us, you can jot those down and we can cover that in intricate detail in next week's Fireside.
Okay then. By the way, before wrapping this up, also please accept this as an official invitation to Liquid Driver server as the SpiritSwap team once V2 is launched, Nick. So we are also really happy. We'll be very happy to host you back on Liquid Driver server and learn more about the beauties of the V2. So consider this as an official invitation from Liquid Driver. Do you have anything else?
No, that's it. That's it for me now. We've got a massive to-do list sitting here on our Remarkable. So we'll probably push forward with getting all of our system checks in place and gearing everything up for a successful launch.
Okay, nicely. We really have high expectations and really cannot wait to get our hands for our users to start using V2. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for joining this AMA with Dr. Liquid from Liquid Driver. And also thank you, Mick, for providing some alpha about V2. So let's wrap this up. Sorry? Sorry?
There's nothing from me, man.
So it's been an hour, I guess, more than so. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. We shall hope to see you on another Fireside chat as well. And if you are new to Liquid Driver, give us a visit over to Liquid Driver server as well. So thank you very much. Take care and see you all soon. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, everyone. Cheers.